Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to One Stop Biology. So today we are going to start with inflorescence and then we'll cover the flower. So till now we have covered I think three topics of chapter 5 of class 11th NCERT, which is the root, stem and then leaf. Now in this video we'll start with the flower. So basically let's start with inflorescence once. So inflorescence is nothing but arrangement on of flowers on the floral axis. So, as we all know that flower is nothing but a modified shoot. What is flower? Flower is a modified shoot. So what happens is that the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem, right? So the internodes that usually elongates, those do not elongate and the axis gets condensed. And that apex basically produces different kinds of floral appendages, right? And these are basically placed laterally on the excessive node instead of producing leaves, right? So when a shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always solitary. Remember that it is always solitary. Now, this arrangement of flower on the floral axis is nothing but inflorescence, right? So, depending on whether the apex gets converted into a flower or whether it continues to grow, there are two major types of inflorescence, right? So, depending upon whether the apex gets converted into a flower or whether it continues to grow. So, these two types are basically racemose and cymose inflorescence. Now, let's see what exactly it is. So, in case of racemose inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow, right? And the flowers, those are born laterally in an acropetal succession. So here in the diagram, if you can see, what happens is the shoot, right? The main axis, basically that keeps on growing, okay? And then you have late flowers on that laterally, okay? But this keeps on growing, right? So the main axis keeps on growing. So this is racemose. Now what happens in cymose is that the main axis terminates in a flower, and that is why the growth here is limited and flowers are born in a basipetal. So instead of acropetal, it is basipetal order. So here in this diagram, if you can see, the main axis ends with a flower on it, and that is why the growth is limited here. So basically these two are different kind of inflorescence, and with this we finish the topic inflorescence. So it is nothing but arrangement of flowers, right? Now what exactly is a flower? So a flower is nothing but a reproductive unit in angiosperms, right? Am I wrong? No, right? So flower is nothing but the reproductive structure in angiosperms. है ना? So basically it is meant for sexual reproduction, right? So a typical flower, if we talk about a typical flower has four different kind of whorls which are arranged successively on the swollen end of stalk or pedicel. So remember that flower has four different kind of whorls, and these are arranged on the swollen end of stalk or pedicel, and this swollen end is known as thalamus or receptacle. Okay, now this thalamus and receptacle has four different kind of whorls, and these whorls are calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. Okay, so these two, the first two, calyx and corolla, are basically not involved in sexual reproduction, and these are known as accessory organs. Okay, And the other two, androecium and gynoecium, are basically male and female parts, and these are known as reproductive organs. So if we see a typical flower, say this is something like what a flower looks like, right? So here if I have to label it, these two are the accessory organs, which are calyx, corolla. This is androecium, and this is gynoecium, right? So androecium is nothing but the male part, male reproductive part, and gynoecium is the female reproductive part. So this basically is the structure of the flower, right? Yes, so we studied what are the different parts of a flower, right? Now, if we talk about what exactly calyx and corolla are. So there are some cases where calyx and corolla are not distinct. Okay, and in these cases, basically they are known as perianth. Okay, so say in flowers like lily, calyx and corolla are not distinct and they are known as perianth, right? But there are certain cases when a flower has both the sex organs, which are androecium and gynoecium, which are basically stamens and carpel or pistil. So such cases are known as bisexual. So these flowers are bisexual. But there are certain cases where there is only stamen or only carpel or pistil is present. Those cases are unisexual flowers. Okay, now let's talk about symmetry. So in symmetry, the flower can be either actinomorphic, zygomorphic, or it can be asymmetric, right? So actinomorphic is nothing but radial symmetry, zygomorphic is nothing but bilateral symmetry, and asymmetric means it's irregular, right? Now, what exactly is radial symmetry? So, when a flower can be divided into equal radial halves, right? So, you divide a flower into two halves, right? In a radial plane which is passing through the center. It is actinomorphic. So, plants like mustard or datura have or chili, they have actinomorphic. Now there are some plants which can be divided into two similar halves, but only through one vertical plane, right? So only through one plane, if you can divide a flower into two similar halves, it is zygomorphic or bilateral symmetry. So I hope you remember that we studied the symmetry in in a different chapter in the previous chapter for animals as well, right? So in the same way, flowers are also symmetrical and asymmetrical, and they also have radial and bilateral symmetry. So if you can divide a flower into two equal halves in any radial plane passing through the center, right? So through any plane, if you divide, say this is a flower, right? And I divide it through any plane, and it is always divided into two equal halves, then it is radially symmetrical. But if there is a flower which, if divided into two similar halves, it can only be divided from one plane, right? So one particular plane, if it is divided into two equal halves. That is the case wherein you have bilateral symmetry, right? So plants like pea, gulmohar, bean have bilateral symmetry while flowers. Now, there are some flowers which cannot be divided into two similar halves by any vertical plane passing through the center, as in canna. So, in canna plant, you have irregular flowers, right? Now, a flower can also be trimerous, tetramerous, and pentamerous depending on the floral appendages. So there can be a multiple of 3, 4, or 5. If floral appendages are in multiple of 3, it is trimerous. If it is in the multiple of 4, it is tetramerous. And if it is in the multiple of 5, it is pentamerous. Right? Now, flowers can be bracteate or ebracteate. Now, flowers with bracts, that is reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicel, is bracteate, and if it does not have bracts, it is ebracteate, right? Now, the last thing is that based on the position of the floral whorls, based on the position of the whorls, or the four whorls, calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium, basically with respect to the gynoecium part, the flowers are described into three different parts. So it can either be hypogynous, perigynous, or epigynous. So what happens? Let's see what happens in the case of hypogynous. So in hypogynous flower, the gynoecium occupies the highest position, and other parts, the remaining parts, are situated below it. As you can see in this diagram, here, the first one, here you can see that the gynoecium part, this is the gynoecium, right? This is at the highest position, and other parts starts just below it. So the other parts are below it. This case is known as hypogynous, right? So basically the ovary in such flowers are said to be superior, and this happens in plants like mustard, china rose, and brinjal. Now, the second case is perigynous. So, what happens there? So, if the gynoecium is situated in the center and other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus, right? So, and those are almost at the same level. It is perigynous. So, let's see the other diagram once. So, this, right? So, what is happening here is the gynoecium is situated in the center of the thalamus, and the other parts are located on the rim of the thalamus. All other parts are located on the rim of the thalamus, and they're almost at the same level, right? These are almost at the same level. Then this is perigynous. Here, the ovary is said to be half inferior. Okay, so in hypogynous, the ovary is superior. Here it is half inferior. And this happens in plants like plum, rose, and peach. Okay. Now the third is epigynous flower. So in epigynous flower, what happens is that the margin of the thalamus, remember that the margin of the thalamus grows upward, enclosing the ovary completely, and it gets fused with it, right? And the other part of the flower arise above the ovary, right? So here, if you see, the ovary is completely enclosed inside the thalamus, and it is infused inside. And all the other whorls arise above the ovary completely. So here the ovary is said to be inferior, right? So this happens in flower of guava and cucumber, right? And even in sunflower as well. So these are the three types of flowers based on the position of whorls, right? So with this, we have finished half of the portion of the flower. And next video, what we're going to deal with is we'll take up each part of the flower and we'll discuss that in detail. So I hope you understood the inflorescence and type of inflorescence, and then the flower and different types of flowers based on various characteristic features of it, right? So if you did understand the video, please do not forget to like it and share it with your friends. And if you have any doubt as such regarding to this video, please do not hesitate in dropping a message in the comment section, or you can also tell me on the WhatsApp number that I've shared in the description of the video. I hope your preparation is going good for boards and NEET both. Good luck, guys. Bye bye.